How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to go-kart build video number 26, and today is the final reassembly of the go-karts. It has been painted about 2 weeks ago. You guys all watched that video, and the paint has been curing and drying for 2 weeks. I didn't intend, or I wasn't waiting for it to dry that long. I just started back up at school, so I kind of had to get back into the swing of things with that. So now I have a 4-day weekend, so I'm going to spend today, or most of today, putting it back together, and hopefully at the beginning of the next video, I'll split this content up into two different videos from today. Sorry if that annoys some of you, but I got to spread out the content a little bit. So the goal is to reassemble it all and then start it up and drive it yet again. So hopefully everything works. Hopefully the torque converter works all well, and the big thing is whether the chain is going to be a good length or not. So I kind of have to figure out the length that I need. I know I might be a little bit long on the chain length than what I actually need. I think it's like an inch or longer than what I measured it should be. So yeah, but basically this video is going to consist of me updating you guys every time I hit a milestone in reassembling the go-kart. And up on the shelf over here I have my GoPro mounted to the shelf with zip ties and stuff, and that'll be doing a fast forwarded time lapse of the entire go-kart reassembly process. So every time I hit a milestone, I'll film it on this camera, and then in between that the GoPro will be filming all the time lapse that'll be fast forwarded with music on it and everything. But before I start reassembling it, I'll go ahead and show you guys kind of where I'm at, how everything turned out, and some of the things that I wasn't so happy with, some of the things that I might change, but overall everything came out really well from the painting process. So my friend's going to be here probably about an hour to start helping me, but in the meantime I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll show you guys where I'm at. Alrighty, so as you guys can remember probably from the last video, if you watched it, if you haven't, I definitely recommend go checking that out. I painted the go-kart in my little paint booth I made here in my garage, and overall the paint came out pretty well. It was my first time ever painting something of this scale, something large like this that requires a lot of time and effort, not only to paint it but just for the prepping process in general. So everything came out pretty good, and some people were like, why is it darker and lighter in some areas, and some of my neighbors were asking, and it's just due to basically how the swirl marks from the sanding disc affected the paint. So, and also based on, some layers might be a little darker because I hit it more often than others. But overall it came out pretty good. There are some spots, I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, like here, and a little bit over here, and on the sides especially, that the paint would not just adhere to that well. So it's out of focus, but there's basically just little dots where the paint wouldn't want to stick to. It kind of just hit it and then kind of slowly creep away, and that was probably because there's some grease or dirt or some imperfection on the metal surface that I forgot to get off when I prepped it. I thought I did a pretty good job overall with prepping it, but probably missed a few spots. But for the most part, everything came out pretty well. The suspension arms came out well too. Nice color on those. Some of the bottom, like on this one over here, the paint's a little messed up because when it was drying it stuck to the plastic. So that kind of got a little messed up. And a lot of these black pieces, they're not perfect. Like some of the ends, like the paint came off because it was drying there, and then when I peeled it up it pulled the paint off. But for the most part, I mean, everything came out pretty good. When I put the axles and stuff back into the bearings, it's probably gonna scrape some of the paint off just because it's such a tight fit. But there's not really much I can do about that. But everything else came out pretty good. As you can see here, I couldn't have painted the entire axle. So a lot of some people have asked, like, how does that rear axle work? Well, remember, this is the axle, and then this little sleeve here mounts to that bearing. And this slides when the suspension arm moves, and so I'm gonna have to grease this. So I couldn't have really painted this because it wouldn't slide. I mean, I tried applying primer, and then the primer actually prevented it from sliding, and even right now it's kind of, you have to kind of push it a little bit, so I have to put some grease on that. So I couldn't have painted those parts. The engine plate came out pretty good. The only thing that I'm considering repainting is this, the pedal plate. And as you can see, I messed up. I tried painting too fast and the paint started to drip down in giant globs. And also at the same time, I picked it up when it was still too wet to try and move it. So at some point I might repaint that, but I think for now I'm just going to go ahead and reassemble it. I'm thinking of maybe actually doing like a spray-on bed liner for a more durable finish, because this is, you know, where your feet are going to go, so it might, you know, scratch and tear up the paint over time. But I don't know, that might be something, a little mini project in the future. But other than that, got all the hardware I need from the hardware store. Got some new bolts and stuff. And other than that, I'm going to go ahead and move the go-kart over to the main part of the garage and start reassembling it. Before I start reassembling the go-kart, I kind of need to get my morning workout in. So as you can see, it's pretty light for the entire frame itself. I imagine it probably weighs somewhere like 50, 70 pounds, something like that. So, not bad. Alrighty, suspension arms are on. Put all four on with the new bolts I got, and lock washers and lock nuts, so those things are not coming off. So next step, I'm going to put on the shocks, and then I don't know what I'm going to do after that, but I'll catch you guys up when I keep moving. on. So just got the suspension arms and the shocks on.
What's up, everybody?
My buddy Matt. We didn't plan our shirts, by the way. That's all coincidence.
Exactly. You know me from multiple videos. I'm here from the SEMA video, so you should know this face by now.
Yeah, and the Mercedes test drive video. Matt, do you want to say something to the guy that said you were a sucky cameraman?
Let me tell you something. When you're in the back of a C300 with Andrew behind the wheel, and he's just pulling hard and freaking out the guy who's giving us the test drive, you're doing the best you can. And I was doing steady cam with my arms, and I was doing my very best. So whoever said that, I'm gonna find you on the internet and come to your house.
Okay. So like I was saying, I just finished with the shocks and the suspension arms, so those are all mounted on there now. So now I think I'm going to go with the bearings and kind of start assembling the rear axle assembly, and then once I kind of get all those put together, I will catch up with you guys then as well. And Matt will now be helping me now, so you'll probably see him up on the time-lapse video. Alrighty, so what we've done so far is got the kind of the rear axle assembly all put together, and Matt's currently working on getting the engine mounting plate all bolted onto the frame. One thing we learned that you should consider if you're building a go-kart, if you have something that's a very tight fit, such as this axle, so this axle is a very tight fit inside the bearing, inside the U-joints, and inside the brake disc hub and the sprocket hub. Try not to paint them or paint a very thin coat, because we pretty much had to sand the entire paint off of that axle so the pieces would fit and slide over it. So just something to consider. Probably gonna have to do the same thing with the steering column over there, because that's a very tight fit as well. So yeah, we're just working on this now. So Matt's working on the engine plate, and I think I'm gonna put on the front spindle assembly and possibly then start on this steering column. So it's coming along. Here again for another update. Front tires and front wheels are on. Pedal plate is on, bolted. Just finished up the seat, engine plate, and then now we're working on the brake master cylinder assembly and then the brake caliper assembly. We'll probably put on the pedals next, steering column, steering linkages, and the final part will probably be the engine. So it's getting closer. Alright everyone, so we got the front, oh wait, we already had the front wheels on before. So Matt's working on the rear wheel. I got all the pedals hooked up with the springs here, the pedal rod, so that's all good to go. I'm currently working on the steering column. So when we painted the steering column, the paint again was too thick, so I'm having to grind that off with the wire brush. So it's going to be kind of ugly for now, but I'll have to figure what to do with that later. But once I get that on, then I'll feed the steering column through, put the steering wheel on, and then the final part is Matt and I to work on mounting the engine and the chain and such, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so we have pretty much gotten as far as we can without actually mounting the engine. So the pedals are all done. The steering wheel is on. I had to take all the paint off the steering column because it wouldn't fit. The steering linkages are all hooked up, so now it steers nice and even. Matt relocated the sprocket in the back here, so that's all good to go. So the final process literally is to mount the engine and get that all squared away in terms of the chain and everything. So I'll definitely keep you posted once we do that, and hopefully we're gonna fire it up tonight and drive it a little bit too.
Hey Matt Burns, if you're watching this video, I want you to know you're sick.
Walk into my Escalade, tell them boys I'm not afraid. Now let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West. Until I see the sun.
Okay, so we've run into a little bit of a dilemma. Pretty much everything is put together, from the tires, pedals, brake assembly, throttle cable assembly, suspension, and we even got the engine mounted. But the only thing that's holding us back is this stupid little red sprocket there. Basically, I had to order a new chain, and the chains only come in foot lengths, so you can get 3 feet, 4 feet, or 5 feet. And I got 3 feet, and for the small sprocket I have, it's too big by probably about, I don't know, an inch, maybe 2. Probably an inch. And then the big sprocket that I used on the previous setup is too large, probably by like 2 or 3 chain links. So we're gonna just see how it does. The chain's probably just gonna hop right off this one, but we're just gonna start it up and see what happens. So I might just record that, I might not. Either way, I'm gonna order a new sprocket that will probably just be right in the middle of these two and be a perfect length. So, and then we'll record that for the next video.
I've taken off this sprocket 50 times, put it right back in the same spot.
Yeah, we've probably taken the sprocket off like at least 8 times.
I was telling him, I wish I could predict every outcome before it occurred, and then I would have known this would happen.
Yeah. But I'm really pleased with how this thing looks. It looked pretty freaking cool. Everything came out good. Steering's good. We got all the alignment pretty straight, and it turns really smoothly. Unlike before, when this piece wasn't welded in yet, it was really wobbly, but now it's really smooth and sturdy, and the wheels turn in unison. So I'll keep you updated before I sign off for the video, depending on what we do, and we'll see. So I'll keep you guys updated. Hello everyone, and just another update here. So I'll fill you in on what we did, Matt and I. We got it all put back together, and like I think I left off last was telling you guys about how loose the chain was. Now what we did was, I have my old sprocket, which is a 64 tooth sprocket. We tried that one, it was too big by about 2 lengths. The middle one I have is too small by about 2 lengths. So we tried to put that big one on, didn't fit obviously. Then we just tried to put the smaller one on, still didn't fit. And we tried to drive, like it was too dark to film anything, so it was kind of no point in doing that. And we tried to drive it. We drove it about 2 laps around my neighborhood, and the chain just kept falling off. It kept slapping the back, so it kind of scratched up the paint, but that's okay. It's gonna get some wear and tear. But basically, we got it all put back together, as you can see. And I'll show you a little more close up, but so I'm just gonna have to order a new sprocket that's kind of in between the other two. So that kind of concludes where it's at with that. And then once I get the new sprocket in and get it all hooked up, that'll be the next video of the new driving for the first time, like better, because this driving was bad. Like you couldn't even go, like it was so loose, you probably couldn't even go, you know, more than 10 miles an hour. It was pretty bad. So I'll just go ahead and show you guys the go-kart now, all finished and ready to go, before I end the video and sign off for this one. Apologize if it's a little dark. I'm just using my garage light here since I don't really want to set up all the other lights. But yeah, so it's all back together, and everything's tightened down with lock washers, lock nuts, and some of the parts that are going to experience more vibration, I'm going to get some Loctite for those as well. So everything runs good. Brakes still work great, even after sitting for a while, you know, off the go-kart. And so you can't really see in there, but the chain's currently sitting off the sprocket, so I'm gonna have to order a new one. I mean, it did pretty well. I was pretty happy with how everything went back together. As you can see, the steering column is silver again. I had to basically sand and use a wire brush to get all that paint off, so I'll have to see what I want to do with that. Might just clear coat it or something, I don't know. And then eventually I'll redo that plate, probably in maybe a bed liner, so it's durable and it has some grip for your feet. And I'm also gonna paint or plasti that maybe the back of the seat black, so it's not like that ugly white color. But that's pretty much it for the go-kart. I mean, I'm pretty stoked that it's all back together. We're so close to having a running and well running and driving final product. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna order the sprocket tonight, so hopefully, let me get some light here. Hopefully by the end of this week, it's Saturday now, so hopefully by the end of this week it'll be here and I can do a video maybe next weekend. I'll just have to see. It depends on when I have some time and when the sprocket obviously comes in. But thank you all very much for watching. I hope you kind of enjoyed the build video and kind of the style for this video with the time lapse and things of that sort. So the next video is definitely going to be really exciting with the driving again. And I'm thinking where to go with the go-kart build videos after the go-karts kind of settled down a little bit. I'm going to probably do a lot of videos to like give you advice and tips and different videos about like go-kart builds, not necessarily actually my go-kart, but just make from my experience to help anyone that's out there trying to build one, and also, you know, videos of it driving when I take it out to different places. I plan on debuting it at a really cool car show with lots of like Lamborghinis and stuff. So if you guys, I'll let you know when that is, so if any of you are nearby and want to come out and check it out. But yeah, so kind of just, I'll tell you guys more about what the plan is with the go-kart videos in the next video or the video after that. And if you guys have any ideas or requests for certain types of videos, please let me know. And if you have any questions about my go-kart build, sorry, I can't talk right now, it's pretty late. Please just leave them in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So thank you all again very much for watching, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video.